Welcome to Radio Telenormandy. I'm Kyle Laroche, back with another Minutes to Win It. So last week we talked about how companies pay incentives. This week I want to dive into why people misunderstand income. By the time we're done, we'll talk about a couple things, what I call reliable, volatile income stacks, and how I find my balance. And so without further ado, let's get started. So here's why income feels unstable now, right? Why people misunderstand it. It's simple: unpredictability. I'm sure you're wondering what I mean by that after taking such a dramatic pause, but here's the best way I can put it. Your paychecks, they feel smaller. And why? That's because expenses, your costs, they feel fast. They come up every week, every month, depending on what you're subscribed to or how you're covering things, maybe even every day. But I know I feel every time I spend, I think, I just got that money. What am I spending it on? And of course, there are things we need, and some we don't, but that's just the way expenses are. On top of that, side hustles feel random, right? I know from experience that organization is the killer of hustles. To put it simply, putting together all the pieces, finding what you need, getting it at a good rate, creating what you want, or doing what you want, it all needs order. It's only recently I've emphasized my own documentation because all of that, plus social media, setting unreal expectations, that's what makes income, money feel unstable. It confuses. It's because there's so many pieces to it. You have so many voices. It all leads to a bunch of noise because everyone's shouting their way. Everyone's sharing their strategy. But I'll say this, the problem isn't the money, the paper, it's dependability. I repeat, the problem ain't the paper, it's reliability. I can hear you at home going, "How, Kyle?" Well, I'll tell you how. But I'll start by explaining an income stack. So, what's that? An income stack isn't one hustle. What's an income stack? It's layers. Layers that work differently. I'm sure you've heard ogres are like layers. Maybe they're not like layers. They could be more like onions. But that's just the idea. They have layers. People might call it buckets. They might call it streams. But there it is. So, to break it down, your first bucket is reliable income. Stuff you call predictable. Some might say boring. But the key is it's repeatable. It's your day jobs. It's your regular work. The second bucket, the bucket I think people like more, and we'll go into why. That bucket is inconsistent, but it's opportunistic. In truth, sometimes it's nothing, and sometimes it's something. That I would call trading, things like investments. You've got giveaways, sweepstakes, prizes. But I'd say even businesses you own. The goal would be to make it reliable, but businesses face tons of pressures that are unforeseen in a lot of cases. Those two buckets in the rear view, here's the big picture. I notice that a tragic flaw of many heroes is the treatment of the reliable like volatile. You don't want to consider your reliable income as the volatile. I know I tried it once. I tried to trade to cover my rent. I wanted to write articles for pay, create content in essence. But the problem was I needed consistency. Those bills, the expenses, they come every week, every month. They don't care if you had a big score or you didn't pull anything the past week. I would not survive the drought. Not between the wins. So, income stacks, they're layers. Ogres like them. But buckets, streams, whatever you call it, there's the reliable and the volatile. You don't want to confuse the two. And we'll go into why and what they are. In short, I got a buddy of mine. He's less particular about his words, but he'd call reliable not sexy but stable. To me, I would say your salaries, your wages, and in some cases, I would say surveys. And why? Well, someone's always got a question. So I've learned to make sure my info comes at a price. I spent my whole life saying knowledge is power without ever appreciating why. I think that's why. Info's not cheap, and good info pays. But reliable to me includes cash back, referrals, any income, in essence, that's got little change to it, clear rules of the game, and you know the effort to reward ratio. I mean, what? Are you shoveling a driveway with 2 feet of snow for $20? Or do you get a bonus for every friend you invite? And so, back to my buddy, we'll call him Andy. Reliable doesn't excite. That's okay. It maintains. Because it's the sun. Reliable income rises and sets just like the sun. Now, people say things like, but these traders, these content creators, and I'll acknowledge it, volatile might have options, but you can't harness the lightning or predict when it's striking. My favorite rapper said that. And it's true. We come back to it, but You might get lucky. You shovel the driveway of somebody, they got a big home, or they sympathize with your cause, they give you $100. That's fine. But what happens when it doesn't snow? Or worse yet, it comes down, you go shovel a driveway, it's massive. The folks only got a couple bucks for you. Maybe it's an old lady. Where I'm going with the point is, when it rains, it pours, but it's not always raining. So, I've heard this. When it storms at sea, fishermen repair their nets. So, of course, it won't always be raining. But there's a consistency to it. What you do in the off time makes up for what you can't get during the uptime. And that's why reliable to me is the key. Like my buddy said, not sexy, but it's stable. So to that point, what is volatile income? Well, I'd say it's out there. It's all over the place. I mean, I could sing about these stories, but I felt a rush when I got an airdrop that pumped to $8 a token. That was a new community putting out a token for the first time. It rewarded all of its early users, as is the way in crypto. It comes back to incentives, like I spoke about 2 weeks ago and a little bit last week. But the idea there was, of course, to bring those users into the fold and keep them by giving them a part of the equity of being in early. It was absolutely surreal to participate, be rewarded those tokens, and then watch them appreciate in value during a bull market several fold. I mean, the multiples I don't remember, but it went from single digits in the cents to $8 a token. It was a phenomenal run during that cycle. And there's more. I mean, I remember the time I landed a copywriting gig for an AI podcast. To be clear, the podcast was actually speaking with industry leaders, writers, editors, and seeking their opinions on the transformative power of artificial intelligence. And I got to copyright for it. Just another part of being in those communities where opportunities are shared. But I felt like the man. The problem was that gig was only for the summer. It was quite lucrative during those months, but come the fall, I couldn't rely on it. And there are other opportunities too, even from consistency. I was quite proud of myself for inviting 10 people to join formerly Ebates. Today, you probably know them as Rakuten. I noticed they at least sponsor one team. It might be the Golden State Warriors. I'm not positive if that's changed. But that referral program, I tout all the time. It's an excellent one. Invite a friend. When they spend a qualifying amount, you both get a bonus. I mean, it really shows you that a good thing is worth sharing. You know what they say about food. It tastes better with friends, family, just like a good idea. And I would also say an idea is only as good as its timing. So, of course, If you haven't joined any of these platforms yet, I think now would be a good time to consider it. But if you've already tied yourself down, you're chasing volatile instead of reliable, well, maybe this doesn't appeal. But that aside, you don't want to get seduced by the volatile. I know I almost did when last year, during 1 month, I made a paycheck doing 3 to 4 surveys. I felt like, wow, I've got it going on. I'm making it rain. But the nature of that is sometimes you qualify, sometimes you don't. I covered that a lot last week. The point is to keep taking those shots, the low risk shots, right? You're trying to score more often. So, of course, you cast your lot. But when a couple of them turned up positive, oh, you could see it in me. I was telling everyone, check this out. This is for you. I share a few of those stories to remind you volatile income comes with emotion. It feels very cool to try a 12-minute survey, get $3, then do a 10-minute survey, get $1.63. You feel like in no time at all, you're pulling it down. They all felt like big steps. But a budget built on volatile is a sandcastle. I mean, it's valuable. I can't deny it. The bonuses, they give you experience. It gave me confidence. But you just can't count on it all the time. It doesn't set and rise like the sun, like reliable income. And that's the key difference between reliable and volatile income. You want something you can rely on. So, to catch everyone up, so far we've covered that the problem isn't the money, and this is what people don't understand, it's the dependability. How often can you bring it? And so, in that sense, we want income stacks, not just one hustle, it's layers. They work differently. Buckets, streams, you want reliable ones, and you might have volatile ones. But remember, the tragic flaw is treating them the same. You cannot rely on the volatile. It's like castles made of sand. You want reliable. You want the known reward to effort ratio. I'm getting the right amount for the work I'm putting in. You want to know, you want clear rules. You want to know there's little change to it. The volatile, of course, can be rewarding, but doesn't always rain. So, with enough examples for you to understand, here's how I balance my stacks. Here's how I build. I take the reliable, and with it I cover the day to day. I mean, while it seems I'm a charming radio host with weekly segments, I got a day job. I do grind for my bread. In the meantime, I take the volatile, the rewards, the bonuses, the unexpected windfalls, and I use them to fund experiments. And anything extra from either bucket, the reliable or volatile, I use it to take off the pressure. I mean, Spotify, Netflix, date night, fill in the gas tank. You never know. Things come up. And the extra is how I stay on top of things. The way I see it, your side hustle can't save you, but it can help. If you feel it in you to hustle for those volatile streams, make sure your bases are covered first. Then the side hustle is a grand slam. You score because you can bring your runners back home. To me, that's the beauty of incentives. They show up if you do. Incentives are not incentives are nice because they show up if you do. So we're almost at our time here. And before I let you go, I want you to keep this in mind. Your problem isn't making more money, it's creating consistently. If you're going to show up, you want rewards that show up too. And so that brings me to my challenge to you. Last week we covered incentives. If you were with us, how companies pay them. This week we're covering how we confuse income. So here's your challenge. I want you to list your current incomes, all of them. Anywhere you get that paper, you save that money, write them down. Then think hard about this. I want you to label them. Call one stable, reliable, dependable. You pick a word. And you call the other one chancy, volatile. Sometimes, someday, some pay. Again, the choice is yours in the naming. But label them, set them apart, and then here's the big piece. Stop budgeting on the volatile. I think if you're going to hustle, I think even if you're interested in volatile, or you're still working on making one of your incomes reliably, the moment you stop trying to budget on the inconsistent, you'll return every time. That's been my word. Those have been some minutes to win it. I just want to say again, if you're looking for my old faithfuls, tap in each week at Radio Normandy. I leave my links for you. Focus group, user interviews, respondent. Let us know what you're looking for, and we'll see what we can find. I say stability might look dull, but I'm telling you it's not. Building a base lets you reach for the top. I feel like people miss this. The tortoise and the hare wasn't just about slow. Steady sets an unbeatable pace. I appreciate your time. I've been Kyle Laroche. These have been Minutes to Win It on Radio Telenormandy, and I'll see you next time.